Hey, my friend. I have a very long podcast, and what it is, it's, every 2 Mondays a month, I do a live call for my sons. It's like a mastermind group, but basically it's called Joseph Clough Mind Mastery. So it's not a mastery group, but it's mastering your mind, and it's a lovely program. And say, 2 Mondays a month, I give a live call and answer questions. And this particular live call, there was one question which I wanted to postpone, mainly because it came in really late, and I wanted to give it, what it really deserved, the attention it deserved. So I just shared a couple of stories, and they're very personal stories about me. And I think I'd just like to share them with you, if that's okay. Because there's something I know that we can all learn from this. I learn from it every time, or learn from them every time. And if you really listen to it, it's all about, I guess, when we enter into this world of personal development, this self-development, or just trying to be a better us, a better me, a better you. It's daunting, isn't it? We all have that anxiety. We all have unconfidence in different contexts, obviously. Maybe we really get to feel that low self-esteem. And we don't realise what's sometimes staring us in the face. Hiding in plain sight, we talk about that a lot. But also, just sometimes this thing that we're trying to do better for ourselves can be the seed that is going to grow and germinate into something bloody special. And we get to live a bloody special life, all because we took the courage, even when we were feeling anxious, even when we were feeling unconfident, even when we were feeling that low self-esteem. We took that step. Even when we had naysayers, they call them, doubters, even our own doubts, we took that step. And listen to my stories. And I think they're true, by the way. They're true. They're not just stories. They are real stories. But I think that as you listen deeply to them, you'll find the messages that I hope will encourage you to continue this adventure. And if you're about to start your adventure, to take that first step. Because when you do look back, I think you'll be amazed. Anyway, if it's okay with you, it's a long one. There's a lot of creakiness in there because you don't hear it when you're doing the work. And generally when I'm doing a podcast, I sit pretty still. But over an hour doing a live call, I move around a little bit. And my chair squeaks and creaks. And so it's not me you're hearing creaking and squeaking, it's the chair. But I'll see if I can get that fixed for next time. But do enjoy. And I'd love to know what you learn from this. Have a listen after this.
Warning.
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 Warning. You are entering into the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. Too late. Personal Development Unplugged.
But, when I say but, I don't like buts, and I was thinking of celebrations. And this sort of celebration for me is an embarrassment. But I celebrated as well. And it leads me on a little bit to what I want to talk about, because you see, this morning first of all, this morning I was, as usual, doing my journal. And the last few days of my journaling, I've been a little bit down on it. And I don't like journaling when I'm writing down and more not quite so upbeat things. But then again, these were things that were concerning me. And I was feeling a little bit disappointed in the things I've done, or things I was not doing, which is causing disappointment. And then I thought, I've got nothing much to do. And the internet went off. So I thought, what I'm going to do is do a little bit of recording. And I started doing some recording. And bless her, Carla, our little dog, started barking and barking and barking. No, she barks a little bit, but all I could hear was this barking, barking, barking. So I got out of here where I am. This is where I did my recording. And went and said, Carla, what are you barking at? And I looked at the front door. And there was a shape of a person in the front door. Ooh, who's that then? And I opened the door. And it was my Monday morning client that I'd forgotten about. Ooh, shock, horror. And she could tell because I was dressed in a hoodie and shorts. And I thought to myself, well, I'm here. I said, I really apologize. This very, very rarely happens. But I actually not looked at my diary this morning. On Sunday, I normally look for the week, and I just haven't done it. But if you're happy, give me 5 minutes. I'll quickly get changed, and we'll do the work. And she said, do you really need to get changed? Because I'm happy the way you're dressed. So I said, yeah, we'll just do it. Now, what did make me happy about that? What made me happy about that really embarrassing situation? Well, I quickly, as I was talking to her, did my little question of what would it be like to access all the skills I have to make this the most wonderful session for this lady, and let it go. Sat down, the music wasn't on. I had to go and fiddle with plugs to get my music on. And we did some work. And at the end of the session, she was amazed. And I always ask my clients when we're finished, I said, you come in the room at 0 and ideally, you want to, at the end of the sessions, if there's more than one session, you want to be at 100%. That's where your goal is. What do you feel now? And she said, it's quite strange because I just feel 99%. I'm just a little bit off. All in one go. She said, I feel fantastic. So I thought to myself, well, I was disappointed on the things I haven't done, but I was really pleased that it didn't faze me. In fact, she said, do you want time to compose yourself? And I went, absolutely not. Let's just get it done. Because that's what we do when you're, I guess, just have that inner confidence on the skills that you have. And that's not trying to big me up, because I've seen Joseph do this, and it just came to mind. He was in a competition for, I think it was Great Britain's best coach, and he got to the finals. And as he went up to do his talk, halfway through, the filming suddenly stopped, and the sound went off. And they said, okay, Joseph, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to do it again because we need to film it. And within a couple of minutes, said, we've got it all ready, but obviously you'll want time to recompose yourself. And Joseph, we're all sitting in the crowd, in like a little auditorium. And he went, why? That's what we do. He said, so let's do it. And he did an awesome presentation. And it's just, I guess it's knowing what you do and doing what you know, but that was leading to, so that was a disappointment and all of me being embarrassed, but being able to call on some skills, which is what I wanted to talk about. And I just wanted to give you, well, basically a story, if it's okay today, just to give you a little bit about my history. Because Joseph, over this weekend just gone, and a couple of weekends ago, and a weekend before that, is going through and training NLP practitioners. And I think he's got one more weekend to go. And it always makes me a little bit sad. I'm pleased that he's doing it, but we like to do it together. But it made me think of some of the things that we would talk about in an NLP practitioner, because we both tell stories. And there were certain stories that he would tell of himself. And these stories are obviously there overt in their story, in their storyline, but covert in the message that they bring. And I thought, wouldn't it be nice? Well, sort of nice, because it matched with my disappointment in my journaling. And I want to see if you can spot that, because sometimes we forget how far we've come, but also forget the journey that we decided to do. Because you're all here. Some people call it a journey. I like to call it an adventure. But somehow you made a decision sometime in the past to do this mind mastery course. And I think that's one of the most difficult decisions to make. And it's amazing where that one decision may take you. I know we were talking about boxes, Karen, but I'd like you to just think about your question. We're going to answer that. But you see, at the beginning of a practitioner, NLP practitioner training, Joe would do his introductory, and then I would do a story. And it's a true story, but it's a story of me when I was very, very young. And it was at Christmas time. And it's a little bit like, well, maybe you've had this before. You see, when I was little, on the TV, there used to be more adverts for children because Christmas was coming up. And also, we had a book, one of these books that would come out near a Christmas, and they'd have lots of things in that you'd buy and pay for monthly. And at Christmas time, that book got bigger because it got twice as big because of all the children's toys in there. And I used to love looking through there and love looking at the adverts. And the one thing I wanted for this particular Christmas was, I don't know if the word means to them, it was in England, it was a scale extract, which is like the electric cars on a track. And I really wanted one. And I kept seeing these adverts. And I kept seeing, when I was looking through this magazine, or it wasn't a magazine, it was a big book, I seen all these wonderful pictures, and I dreamed about them constantly. And I dreamed and I dreamed. And the thing is, inside I knew that it's sort of possible, but really what I was dreaming of was probably impossible for Mum and Dad to afford that. But did that stop me? No, I was a little kiddie. I was about 7 or 8, I guess. And I could dream. And when you're young and you remember back, there was no barriers on dreams, were there? Because we're not adults. There was no limiting beliefs. There's no, oh, you can't do that. Do I deserve it? I'm not worthy. I just knew I wanted it. I didn't care how it was going to happen. I had this little inkling in my mind that maybe it was expensive, but didn't gel with me. And I would dream about this constantly. And I'd dream about the different types of track. And I'd dream about the models I could make, because it was all about making the pit lane and all this stuff with little figures. And I just had these I could visualize one of the best visualizers in the world for this. And when I visualized it, I was there. I was playing with these things, making them. Sometimes I shrunk myself down in size to walk around in there and be there. And then I was back out again. And it made me feel so good. And the more I felt so good, the more I dreamed about it. And the more I'd look for those adverts, the more I'd look in the books. So I got this real feeling of it was so good. And then Christmas came a little closer. And then Christmas Eve came along. And as Christmas Eve came along, Mum and Dad toddled me off to bed. And I kept thinking, that's going to be so disappointing. It would be disappointing if I didn't get that. But I really want it. But I went to bed. And I did get to sleep. But the thing is, I woke up quite a lot earlier than most people. Because it was still very, very, it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. Mum and Dad were asleep. So I did what everyone does. I got up. Because I just had to know. Has something happened? Has it like a miracle happened overnight? Because I've been thinking about it so much. And so I opened the door really quietly. Shh, I used to be quiet. And I opened the door really quietly, so slowly. Because I used to sleep. My bedroom was next door to Mum and Dad's bedroom. And then I would go down the stairs. Now, this is the real trick, if you ever want to walk downstairs and never, ever be heard, or walk up, if you put your feet to the very sides, those treads, those staircase parts cannot move. Therefore, they cannot make noises. So it's a bit weird walking because you're feet are really wide. But if you go down with your feet really wide, very slowly, no creaks. But the thing is, the house where we were in had 3 stories up and a basement. And we used to live in the basement and live in like the attic. And there was other rooms for other things there. So I had to sneak all down these stairs. There was loads and loads. And occasionally, one of those parts of the staircase would creak. I had to stop. And nothing happened. So I carried on. Wider and wider, slower and slower. Until I got down. But because I was going into the basement, and it was 3 o'clock in the morning, it was pitch dark, pitch black. And I was going down these last bits of stairs. Now, obviously, I knew the house, but when it's that dark, I really had to think of where I am, where I was going. And it was instinctive that I just knew. Because by this time, I was too far away from Mum and Dad to hear, so I could go down the stairs normally. But then into the corridor, I daren't turn the lights on. I don't know why, they were never going to see, but I daren't turn the lights on. And I went into our front room. You used to call it the front room, call it the living room where the TV was and things like that. Because in the corner was, Mum didn't really go much on Christmas decorations. So we had a tree, but it wasn't a real tree and it wasn't that good. And it was in the corner and there was a few decorations, but I snuck into the front room and I could just make out now because my eyes were getting accustomed to the dark. And I went over and I could see different presents because I knew Mum and Dad used to put the presents down when I'd gone to bed. So I snuck over to them. And then I started to get close. I don't know if you can hear that. Getting close, trying to feel the paper. But I had to be careful. I didn't want to damage anything. But I also had to know. I don't know why I had to know. I just had to know. Had to know. And what I had to do was I literally just tore open a corner. That was so bad. Wasn't it so bad? Tore open a little corner. And it was a box. It was a big box. It was a sort of box that you'd expect to have all that stuff. And I didn't do any more. So I began my little journey back up those stairs through the dark. And it was like a pain. It was like a pain of pleasure, or expectation, but also tinged with what if? What if maybe I'm wrong? Can't be wrong. Can I be wrong? Could be wrong. What would happen? How would I feel? So there was that real excitement in me, but also that little bit of dread. Don't know if you ever felt that before, about doing something new with that little bit of dread. You see, that reminds me, because talking about NLP practitioners, the very first training I went to was a hypnosis training. And to get there, I'd had loads of phone calls with the guy who ran it, Wilf. Bless him, he's dead now, but he was, I'd been told, one of the best hypnotists in England, if not bigger than that. He was well respected throughout the world. And I kept phoning him up because I kept saying, I just want to do NLP because I've got this urge to do NLP. I didn't know why. Well, I did know why, and I'll explain the why in a minute. But he kept saying, no, you have to do hypnosis first, Paul. That's the way I teach it. I go, oh, Carl Wilf, you know I really want this. And I got that same type of feeling. I really wanted it. And he was giving me that little tinge of, you can't have it. And in the end, I thought, well, this is really weird. Because at that time, 3 little children, and money was just a sort of okay. I got a mortgage on the house and things like that. And this wasn't that cheap, and it wasn't having to take holiday. So use my holiday for this. And what about family holidays? But somehow I wanted to do it. And in the end, I really want it. I don't know. I really want it. I don't know. And I took the plunge. I said, yes, I'll do it. And you see, the reason, and this is the real bad part again, the reason I wanted to do NLP, because at the time, I was in another lifetime. I call it another lifetime, where I was working in another industry, and I was a money man in that industry. And I was very good at my job. It also meant I was very ruthless at my job. To be good at it, at those particular times, the best people were the most ruthless. And I was pretty good. And I knew NLP could make me even more successfully ruthless. Because I could manipulate people. Yeah. I was a bit dumb then, but that's what I felt like. And that's why that tank, because it's going to make me such a difference in my career. But this guy wouldn't let me do it. But in the end, I said, yes, we're going to do it. And the weirdest thing was, having said yes, I got so much doubt because people would say to me, where are you going? And I said, well, I'm traveling like 6 hours away. And I know in America, 6 hours drive is not that much. Well, it's only a 4-hour drive, 5-hour drive. But I know that in America, there's not very much. But in England, and for poor old Cluffy here, that was like the other side of the world. And the thing is, I'm an introvert. And I didn't really want to go and meet people because I knew there'd be obviously more than one person there than me. But I wanted to go. So I've got this thing going. I really want it. Don't know. Is it right? Oh, I want it. And I've said yes, but I can cancel. I can phone up. But I didn't. So come the day, I got in my car, said goodbye to the family, who didn't know what I was doing. They go, I don't know what Dad's doing something weird. You know, he's going to learn hypnosis. He kept on about NLP, but he wants it. And they didn't know what NLP was. But I went, and the journey, as I say, was like 4 to 5 hours, which for me was a massive journey by car. And I still had these real big pangs of doubt that maybe it's not the thing for me. Maybe the prize or the present of success of that was not for me. And this particular road has changed now over the years, but it used to be a road that was mainly going up north. It was called the North Road. Funny that. But about every 5 miles, there's a blooming roundabout. And I would drive to these roundabouts and I'd go round. People would see me going round and round about 2 or 3 times because I just couldn't turn off to keep going. Because I'll go back. I'm going to stop. I can't do it. I'll go to the next roundabout. And I went to the next roundabout, round and round. So I was getting really anxious because this is something new. It's also new that I didn't really understand. But I did have an idea that it would make a difference. And I kept going round and round and round. And then I finally got there. And guess what? There was a load of other people there, which really then I went into the corner. I didn't really want to be there. Now I knew I was in the wrong place because it didn't feel good. But there's that pull I really wanted this thing I didn't know or understand. And so that was like, we went there and then slept, and then the course started the following day. We stayed in like one of these little bed and breakfast places, and we drove there. And there was only, I suppose, about 20 people. But for me, 20 people now is, I can do that. I can do that as an extrovert-ish, but if I'm still an introvert, I still don't particularly like it as a social thing. But if I have to train and do things, I can stand up and do that. But the thing is, they wanted to introduce everybody. And I thought, oh, this is my worst nightmare. And not only did they want you to stand up, but they had a microphone. And you had to stand up with a microphone, explain who you were, where you came from, and why you were here. What did you want to get out of this course? So I'm thinking, worst nightmare, I can go home still. And I couldn't, obviously. I think they locked the doors, but I couldn't leave. Now I'm starting to get, not palpitations, but I'm starting to get anxiety. I got imposter syndrome. I shouldn't be here. I don't even know why I'm here. I don't know why. Well, I do know why I'm here, because my why is I want to be more ruthless. I want to manipulate people. I'm not saying that to anybody. What am I going to do? The only thing I have to do is not forget my name. And that's what I kept saying to me, or to myself. Don't forget your name. Don't forget your name. Don't forget your name. Now, I know now that is an embedded unconscious command to forget your name. So, 20 people. Am I the first? No. I'm about 15th in the line. So now I'm seeing these people and the anxiety's building up. Don't forget your name. Don't forget your name. Don't forget your name. Oh, blimey. So finally it comes to me and I stand up on shaky legs and I go, I've forgotten my name. I don't know why I'm here, but I'm from Cambridge. Thank you. And I passed it on and people were looking at me, well, who is this guy? But there were some really nice people there. And that's the thing. I learned hypnosis. And within a day, I realized what an idiot I'd been. Not for the anxiety, because that anxiety was trying to protect me, but for thinking it was going to be used for manipulation, to become ruthless. I wasn't a people person then, but I changed minute by minute. And that was a strange thing. Feeling myself change on all these things that had been so like a stick of rock. They were embedded in me. All those beliefs I had about how to do business, do this, and things were changing minute by minute, day by day. And in fact, I stayed on for another week, just as Joe did. We stayed for 1 week and we stayed for a second week to do even more things. And I'm even thinking to myself, I still don't know why I'm doing it. I just think it's the right thing. Family's behind me. Something will happen. Feels like the right thing. Still anxious, but I started to do that. Got through that. Got through it. I got through that and started doing hypnosis with people, which is really weird because it was something that I really didn't know that much about, but I did know about it. Unconsciously, intuitively, things started to happen. Things started to happen in a weird way, in that I found an NLP trainer. So I never went back to Wilf to do the NLP after all my arguments with him, all my pleading with him. I actually went somewhere else. And these people were wonderful. They were lovely, lovely couple who ran it. But guess what? How many people were in this class? 35. Oh, my goodness me. So again, shrinking down. But then I my little imposter syndrome started to disappear, evaporate. Because I started to get dreams. Somehow intuitively, new things were happening for me. Opportunities were coming and I was using them or taking them. And I was using the skills I was learning month by month. And things just started to click together. And I kept thinking back, that phone call with Wilf, that idea that I had, which was so outside of my comfort zone, is leading me to this being a practitioner of NLP. And that was hugely expensive, by the way. And then I chose to go into master practitioner. Why? I thought I knew things, but no, there's this little thing inside me that's going, do more, do more. And the master practitioner was even more expensive. But by then, somehow, work had got better in a good way. Instead of trying to manipulate people, I was just getting rapport with people. I was finding their values, giving them what they wanted and supplying them with what they wanted to a good value. Our business was really taking off because this was another business that it was really doing so well. And I was enjoying that. And it was so offering service to people and giving good service. And they were coming back. So I did my master prac. And now the thing is, little old introvert me, this is what seems to keep happening. At the end of both of those trainings, practitioner and master prac, the final weekend was your certification weekend. We had to work with people. And you didn't know the issue. A bit like this morning. I knew the issue, but I didn't know all of it. And we'd also do a talk. We had to give a presentation on some work that we'd been given to do through the year. And I'd brought I think 2 of my sons in each time, because they're making up the numbers. So instead of 30 people to talk to, there's 60 plus people. 60 to 70 people to talk to in this big hall. Nightmare again. All of a sudden, imposter, shouldn't be here. I don't know my stuff. I won't get it done. I didn't say, forget what you've learned. I didn't say that. I just suddenly said, let's just do it, see what happens. And both those weekends and those presentations were just out of this world for me. I don't know how good they were, but they just felt good for me when I just let go to that. And I'm thinking, go back a couple of years, I would never have done that. I wouldn't have been able to give a presentation in front of 3 people, let alone in front of 70 people. I'm now learning, I'm now doing different things, my business, all from a little speck, which is outside my comfort zone, which I didn't really know. Not a little bit like mind mastery. Then what happened? Well, Joseph obviously is not following my footsteps, but following his adventure with NLP, hypnosis. We follow the same path, different trainers apart from the hypnosis trainer. And then Joseph went to trainers training because I didn't want to be a trainer. And does his trainers training, does all the passes, comes back, says, Dad, I'm doing a practitioner training. Oh, awesome. I'll come and be one of your assistants. I'll sit at the back of the room and make sure things are happening. And as we're doing the training, I'm sitting back in awe of Joseph. I'm thinking, this is not my son. Can't be. He's an introvert-ish. He used to blush a lot. He was unconfident, yet he's now sitting on a stage teaching people, and I think he can't have been more than 20 at the most. And I'm looking around the room thinking, there isn't anybody under 30 here, and they're probably 40 or 50, all looking for like a life change, and they're all glued to Joseph. And then he said, Dad, why don't you come up the front a little bit and maybe tell a couple of your stories as well? So I came up, and for half that training, we both sat up there, and that was like something new, that it just started to gel. And then we started doing NLP trainings. And again, I would just sit up there. I wasn't a trainer. I didn't want to be a trainer. But we started having a great experience. Again, out of my comfort zone, but it's got nothing to do with therapy, but it had nothing to do with my work, but it sort of had. And then something happened in my life, which was not the nicest thing. And I was sent away to America to become a trainer of NLP. And I came back, and that's how Joseph and I became trainers, Joseph Clough Trainings at that time. Now, what happened? Not only did we do practitioner and master prac trainings, we were doing trainings all the time, and Cambridge hypnotherapy, and Luke, my other son, would came in and got trained, began running Cambridge hypnotherapy while we weren't there, so we're doing clients. And this is where I was thinking back to the journal, disappointed with what could happen or what I hadn't done. And it's amazing. What else happened? Well, Joseph and I started to teach in Israel. And the last 2 times that we've trained, obviously with COVID and that, it's parked itself. But the last 2 times that we trained, little old me and little unconfident, blushing Joe from the past were sitting on a huge stage in front of a big auditorium, about 110 people in the audience. And we were telling stories. We were doing guided imagery. But it was so wonderful. And I'm thinking, 120 people. And there was times talking about me, I would just get up and sit on the edge of the stage and tell a story. A bit like this, really, telling a story. All from something I didn't know about. And I wonder, if you think about it now, your journey, the things that you've learned, the things that you've changed, how you've changed, how much you've changed, the things you're doing now that if you went back into the past and looked to the future, would you have said back then, I'll be doing that? Probably not in a month of Sundays. Maybe you can't or couldn't back then even imagine what you're doing now. And you also have so many tools because the processes within Mind Mastery are wonderful tools that Joseph and I teach and use with all our clients. So you've got so many wonderful tools that you can use, not just for that core issue, but for so many different things, for planning your future, for doing your future, for taking that step into the step of the unknown, that step beyond your comfort zone, or what I would call the familiar zone. I know Joe's been talking about that. When you move into that area, suddenly, hey, you realize I'm not an imposter here. And in fact, I'm pretty good at what I do. And I've learned a lot. And I also know, and this is, I think, one of the critical things, I also know what I don't know. Because there's so many people who think they know everything and they make mistakes. But when we start to know things, that also tells us, well, I know I don't know that, so I can go and learn it. And that's a wonderful thing about not knowing. Because you know, then you can find out what you don't know. And how that will then spread through every context of your life. We never know how far the ripples of change go, but also how it affects everyone else. Because I'd love you just to sit and think, we might do a little process on this, is to think not only how much have you changed, but have you noticed other people change? Because, let's see if I can get this saying right, it's not what you look at changes, it's how you change what you look at, how you change how you look at the things change. And because as you grow, I think I was right, as you grow in this learning and let go of limiting beliefs, let them go and bring the void, that you can now let all your new experiences come to the front, access all the things that you know, to know what you don't know, to learn even more. The things that you look at change because you've changed the way you look at them. And also you affect the people around you that you don't realize. But when you look back or look around, you'll notice people have changed and the effects that you've made and those ripples of changes. And I think sometimes if we just stop, we talk about, I talk about stop and pausing. This is something that when we do that, but with an intent to just take stock. Because I was getting quite down in my journals. Yet it took that client this morning to knock me out of it. And to this afternoon to think of, what are we going to talk about today? And I thought, this is it. Let's remind ourselves how far you've come, how far you want to go. Because what you think about most is what you get, whether you like it or not. And as you think about these wonderful changes and you get that sense of gratitude, that's when I think things start to happen by coincidence again. Now, there's no coincidences there. Serendipity happens because I don't think serendipity happens. It does, but it happens for a reason. And that reason is you. And you could call it the law of attraction because you're putting out that vibration. What you think about most is what you get, whether you like it or not. But that feeling, you get the good stuff happening. You somehow become lucky. But do you? To me, you've created it. Because what you think about most is what you get, whether you like it or not. Well, you like this, and it's a great thing. But just sometimes we forget how much we've done. And maybe when you think back to when you started Mind Mastery, or even before, some of the things that you've decided to do, a bit like me with my NLP, which was actually hypnosis for all the wrong reasons, has created something in my life for over 21 years now. And the changes in those 21 years have been, dramatic. They've been wonderful. Yeah, we all have ups and downs, but now I've got some skills to do it. A bit like when that client came. No panic. Yeah, come on, let's do it. Let's do what we do best. Let's share what we've got. So I wonder if you would maybe, if we get time, we'll just stop and pause and think about that. But maybe take some time when this finishes and you have a cup of coffee, maybe a glass of wine, maybe there's some sun, maybe there's some rain. And we just stop with maybe our journal, a piece of paper, and start to think back of that tiny little thing inside us that maybe we didn't know about, didn't realize what it was going to do. But it was us, something inside us, got us to take a step into the unknown. I wonder how many more steps you're going to take now. And each time, maybe it's another new thing. Right now is another seed to grow into more steps, to more experiences, to more wonderful learnings, to sharing, to give to that integrated field of learning, to make a difference, selfless service, all that stuff, but to make your life wonderful. Might be something just to consider. Because you see, I was going back upstairs. Remember, it was dark. I was going back upstairs, quietly, side by side, remember? The further you go, the wider. Because I didn't want to make any noises, not like this chair creaking. And I got up to my bedroom, snuck in the door. Finally, I did get to sleep. But even now, even after all those 20 or 30 years ago, but even now, I get up extremely early on Christmas morning, and I did then. I got up extremely early. I didn't care about noise. I made noise. Whoa, wake up, Mum, wake up, Dad. I want to go downstairs. Can we go downstairs? Well, and they were going, oh, well, wait a minute. No, got to go. Make you a cup of tea. Because those days, I used to make cups of teas for Mum and Dad really early. But they would come down. And I rushed downstairs. I could turn on the light now. Yay! And I looked. There's that box. There's those parcels. Those presents. And that feeling, the feeling I've had. It's what I think about. What I feel most of the time. Is that something you're going to get? Whether you like it or not? And there's that little pang of, oh no, just in case. And Mum and Dad said, well, you can open your presents in a minute. Oh, no way am I going to wait. Couldn't tell them I've been waiting all night. But no way. So I ran over. Paper, Paul, slow down. I can't. And guess what? Could Mum and Dad afford it? Yes, they blooming well could. I don't know how they did it. But there it was, this massive box of scale electric cars. But not only that, there was other packages with other bits in. There was parts for that pit lane, the models to make. There's two things which I really wanted. It was a skid chicane and a Humpty Back bridge. And they were both there. So is it something when was I experiencing that law of attraction maybe? Or that thing that what you think about and feel most of the time, you get whether you like it or not. Because if you like that feeling, yeah, that was an amazing Christmas. But I just dreamt about that every day. And I wonder what you're dreaming about every day, or what could you dream about every day? I don't know. And they're the stories that I used to tell on an NLP training. That an introvert wouldn't get up and stand up and say that story or those stories. But I did. And I loved it. And I don't know how those seeds within that stories are going to germinate within you. Because we don't. But we can guess. And we can think. And we can get excited. And we can imagine. Because I tell you what we're going to do. Looking at and Karen says, before we go there, before we do so, let's just let that all sink in. Karen says, I've been thinking about needing a retreat of a couple of days to review my journals and see all the things I've learned and became aware of. That's an awesome thing. In fact, I would endorse anybody thinking of doing that. Excuse me. I've done that. I used to have a narrowboat. Excuse me. And I would go to that narrowboat for 2 or 3 days by myself. And just with my journal and with a list of like the processes that I knew. And I'd go through my journals and I'd feel emotions and I'd think, let's just work on that now. Because it's when you do that, Karen, for everybody, or this is what I find and found, when I would be really so intent on doing something like this and I'm there and I've set my environment. No one's going to disturb me. The phone's off. This is me for me. It was if that intuition would come and I'd think about something and a limiting belief and a feeling would come along and I'm going, I've never thought that. How can that be linked? I've told you before that when I'm doing stuff, suddenly I got a guilty feeling. Why have I got guilt? Oh, that makes a bit of sense. It's a bit like this thing about disappointment, which I'm working on. I know there's something back over there in my past that I was disappointed in. And my unconscious mind is like, protect me from disappointment, but by protecting me from that, I'm getting more disappointed because of the things I'm not doing. And that's that circle. But it's giving yourself time to understand that. So I implore everybody, even if you can do it for a couple of hours on a weekend, but if you can spend a couple of days, and in those couple of days, you break your pattern sometimes by going for a lovely walk and then stopping on that walk and thinking, maybe just taking in the view, meditating in like a mindful way, just by looking and then listening and then feeling, first of all, on the outside, the wind, the sun, maybe the rain, and then on the inside, listening. And you learn so much. You write it in your journal, then you go back to that place where you've been doing your inner retreat, your external retreat. And I find the effects of that are immense. And they seem to be immense at the time, and they carry on. And again, some people might say, well, I don't know, you're not so sure. And that took me to the feeling of going on to that hypnosis thing. Oh, I'm not so sure. I'll run down. In fact, I actually went on an organised retreat for, I think it was 3 or 4 days. And I was petrified of going. And here I am. I was a trainer of NLP and I was blooming petrified and introverted about going there. But when I got there, it was just never as bad as you think. And I thought to myself, because I was doing work on myself, going, oh, come on, let's just go for it. And I did. And I used some of the processes. It was like using processes before a retreat to be on the retreat, which is weird, but we can do that. But you've got all the stuff here. So if you do a retreat, however long, you've got all the modules and the processes within those modules to deal with anything that comes up. Absolutely anything. Parts integration, timeline therapy, everything, swish, anchoring, everything you've got in Mind Mastery will work. And you just go with intuitively what feels right. And then journal and then work on that retreat of how you feel differently. How do you want to use this? Think of the future. What's stopping you? I can work on that now so the future opens up. Let's just for 5 minutes, let's just, if it's okay with you, to do that sort of review, but unconsciously maybe, consciously and unconsciously. So if that's okay, and it's safe to do so. Hey, I'm just going to jump in here really quickly because, as I said, this is hypnosis, the hypnosis part, the hypnosis process. So if you do have something that needs your attention, turn off now, come back, have a listen when you've got the time and space to just go into yourself. So if you're driving or you're doing anything that, as I say, needs your attention, please don't listen to this now. Listen to it later, okay? But if you're okay and it's safe to do so, there's somewhere quiet, somewhere where you can just put your attention to yourself, then, hey, let's do it. What I want you to do is just set an intention to be curious. Curious of those things way back then that sparked off these wonderful changes that you've already made right now and forever. And as you set that intention, take a lovely in-breath with me, hold it, and now let it out gently and a long breath out and allow your eyes to close. That's it, it's as simple as that. And breathe. You know the way I love to breathe. Every in-breath more gentle than the one before. That's it. With every in-breath, just gets more gentle. And with every out-breath, it's as if your unconscious mind is drawing you in to that special place. Imagining the muscles around your eyes getting so soft that every out-breath, that softness just goes through every cell of your body as your best friend welcomes you to this place of comfort, this place of safety, where you can connect with your unconscious mind, your best friend. And as you do that, I want you consciously just ask your unconscious mind, let's go back to remember the wonderful changes I've already made. And even if you can't remember them individually, you can just get that feeling, get your unconscious mind to create that feeling of the wonderful changes that you've made. Maybe it's just a feeling of gratitude. How you've found that issue, that core issue. How you've worked with it, because it's working with it, because it had an intention. And you found so many new things. And I wonder if your unconscious mind would bubble up maybe one or two special things that it remembers for you that can make you feel so good about yourself. Feelings that you may have forgotten, the things you did that, yeah, I did do that, didn't I? I'd have never dreamt of doing that before, but I have. And as you do that, I want your unconscious mind to go even deeper into all the wonderful changes you've made from way back then to right now. And as you, the unconscious mind, become aware of all those changes, I want you to become aware of their dreams, the conscious mind's dreams. Even if they're just a little seed, maybe some doubt there, but you know that doubt is unfounded. And I want you to, as you notice those dreams, those goals, those steps along in the future, I want you to find all the resources so you can help them along the way, creating those baby steps with competence and confidence, with gratitude, with love, being aware of the effect that you have on yourself and others. But see those goals and new opportunities. I want you, the unconscious mind, to be aware of opportunities that their conscious mind might not see, might not be aware of, but you, the unconscious mind, can be totally aware of, to attract them towards you. So they can take intuitive action. They can even think they did it themselves. But we know you did it together. And wonder what wonderful feelings you can begin to generate now and spin them out into the future. And feel them now. And as you feel them now, you can just let them go, knowing that you can feel them whenever you want. But you know consciously that your unconscious mind is going to find them even more. And I don't know, but whether you, at a conscious level, just want to think of those dreams. Think of a particular dream that you have, that you haven't started yet. Maybe you've been a little unsure, a bit like me with that hypnosis. Something you really want, but maybe, there's that little tinge. And as you think about it now, send that to your unconscious mind and say, this or something better. This or something better. And as you do that, maybe there's another little one, another little dream, another little goal that you have, a wish, because we want to make that wish into something substantial, something that you can grasp, something that you can feel, something that you can hear, something that you can see, from that little seed to germinate. And as that comes to mind, just give it to your unconscious mind and say, over to you. Make it happen. This or something better. And as you do that, feel that wonderful sense of gratitude, because you have the bestest best friend supporting you with every breath, every heartbeat. How wonderful is that? And as you feel that love for you, because you're allowed to feel love for yourself, imagine it radiating away from you, from your heart. That lovely frequency of love radiating from you. And as you do that, keeping that feeling as much as you want, get ready for an in-breath in a moment, because when we take that next really big in-breath, we're going to breathe out, let it all out, and open our eyes. So take a lovely in-breath with me, and let it out. And letting all those wonderful things into your future. Open your eyes. Hey, yes, I'm back. And just know that out in your future, your unconscious mind is now planning the next wonderful steps for you. Well, there you go. We've run out of time. I hope you enjoyed those stories, because they're true. Both of those stories are very true. Well, in fact, all the stories, because they're not stories. All those tales are true, but I wonder how those seeds now are going to germinate. Because there's a lot more. You might have to listen to it again and again just to, if you really want to find out what was going on. Or you could just look to your future and go, I'm going to go for that. Even though there's a tinge, I'm just going to go for it, just like I did in the past, because look at where it's got me right now. And I say, if you can do a retreat, oh my goodness me. I know Joseph is thinking about doing retreats as well, so you never know. I have to give him a little nudge, because he does a great retreat. Done a couple in the past, and they had awesome results. So that's something you might want to just put a little note into Joseph. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for your company, and I will see you, and I'll have a question to answer on my next Monday. And it's a brilliant question. I know that question is going, or the answer to that question, and as we dive into it, is going to have meaning to everybody. It really will. So there you have it. That was, an extract, a recording of a live call, a coaching call, a Q&A call that I did for my son's Mind Mastery. And that's Joseph Clough. Joseph Clough's Mind Mastery. If you want to find out a little bit more about that, it's not an advert for it, but if it interests you, go and see josephclough.com, and also just search Joseph Clough Mind Mastery. And you can book a call with him, actually speak to him and see, well, if you think it's right for you and he thinks it's right for you, you might even come and meet me on a coaching call too. So that would be awesome if you did. But if not, I hope there's just the stories, well, the little covert meanings in there have sparked your interest, have sparked your curiosity, have given you the oomph to do those strange things that will make a massive difference. It may only be small at the moment, but it will make a massive incremental difference to your life and the lives of others. So, yeah, if you have learned from this, or if you think you got those messages, please do email me, feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. I'd love to hear your feedback. I'd love to hear maybe some of your tales of the things that you did that you're uncertain of, but you did it anyway. You got to do this. And the difference it made to your life. Because I'd love to be able to share something like that, or exactly that, obviously anonymous, but I'd love to share people's stories of success, how they were a little bit frightened, a little bit feared, and did it anyway, to find out that fear was just, well, nothing really. They went through that invisible barrier that wasn't there because it's invisible, and it wasn't even a barrier. And they made so much difference to their lives. So if you could do that, that would be awesome. Feedback at personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. If you like the hypnosis, you know there's at least 50 tracks of hypnosis and NLP processes you can get for free. They're at paulcloughonline.com/podcast. Go in there, sign up. Emails as safe as I can make them. And you get access to those. Plus, you get a newsletter. I don't do enough of those. I'm going to try and do more. But I think they're at least one every 6 weeks at the moment. So I want to update those a little bit. And if you really want to check out things like increasing your self-confidence or getting rid of anxiety or, just relaxing better or all that stuff, I've got some wonderful programs on paulcloughonline.com. Have a look at those. There's a money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose other than unconfidence, other than anxiety. Because if it's for you, it works wonderfully. And if it's not, well, you've lost nothing. But you've tried it. And if you set your intention, I know you'll get what you want. Okay? Because what you think about most is what you're going to get. And as you look at things differently, those things become different, don't they? Please do share this. As always, I just ask, if you would, just this very moment, as soon as you press stop, please pay it forward. Please share this episode and share the Personal Development Unplugged podcast to everyone you know. Anybody who suffers from anxiety, and we all do. Anybody who suffers from a little bit of unconfidence, and I think we all do. And everything in between. Please do share this. It'll be awesome. One more time, awesome. And I'm going to see you be here to hear with you next time. Hope you enjoyed. Be well. Shine brightly. Bye-bye.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.